Captain Eric Russell stood at the viewing window of the Pathfinder, watching the stars. It was the year 2157, and humanity had finally reached beyond their solar system. The journey to Alpha Centauri had taken 5 years. Even with the new fusion engines, Earth seemed very far away now. "Captain, you should see this," called Lisa Nichols from her communications station. Her voice had an edge that made Eric turn immediately. The bridge crew gathered around Lisa's screen. A small object drifted in the emptiness of space ahead of them. It wasn't natural. Its metal surface reflected the distant sunlight in a way no asteroid would. "It's artificial," said Eric, "and it's not one of ours." The room fell silent. This was it. The moment humans had wondered about for centuries. Proof they weren't alone. "Can we bring it aboard?" asked Eric. Chief Engineer Sam Cooper nodded. "I can use the retrieval arm. Give me 30 minutes. The object sat in the quarantine bay, about the size of a small car. Its outer shell was damaged, with burn marks along one side. "It's a probe," said Sam, scanning it with handheld equipment. "And it's old. Really old." Lisa moved closer, studying the symbols etched into the metal. "There's writing here. Lots of different types, like it was meant to be read by different species." Eric felt a chill. "Can you decode any of it?" Lisa connected her tablet to the scanning equipment. "Some of these patterns match mathematical constants. It might be a key to understanding their language." The crew worked through the night. No one wanted to sleep, not with the first alien artifact sitting in their ship. By morning, Lisa's eyes were red from staring at screens, but she was smiling. "I've got something," she said. "Part of a message. It repeats over and over." She pressed a button on her tablet, and a computer-generated voice spoke. "Beware the Krell Empire. They consume all." Eric called an emergency meeting. The 7 senior crew members sat around the conference table, faces tense. "We need to decide what to do," said Eric. "This probe is a warning about something called the Krell Empire." "We should turn back," said Medical Officer Andrea West. "Warn Earth. Turn back." After coming this far, Sam shook his head. "This is the discovery of the century." "It could be ancient history," said pilot Jeff Lorry. "The Krell might not even exist anymore." Lisa pulled up her findings on the main screen. Based on the decay of the materials, this probe is about 300 years old, not ancient in cosmic terms. "I say we proceed with caution," said Security Chief Darren Mitchell. "We're already here. We can gather more information and send it back to Earth." Eric looked at each crew member. "We're explorers, but our primary mission is to protect Earth. If there's a hostile force out here, we need to know more about it." "I've detected an energy signature," Sam said suddenly, checking his tablet. "About 2 light days from here. It's faint, but it matches nothing in our database." Eric made his decision. "We'll continue the mission, but we change our approach. Stealth mode from now on. No active scanning, minimal communications. We investigate the energy signature, gather all the information we can, and prepare a data package to send back to Earth." The crew nodded in agreement. "And everyone stays armed from now on," added Darren. As they left the conference room, Science Officer Kelly Bryant pulled Eric aside. "Captain, I found something else in the probe. A star chart with marked territories. If I'm reading it correctly, our solar system is just at the edge of what they mark as Krell space." Eric felt his stomach tighten. How large is their territory? Hundreds of star systems, maybe thousands. Later that night, Eric recorded a message for Earth. He chose his words carefully, trying to avoid causing panic while conveying the seriousness of their discovery. "We are not alone," he concluded, "and we may not be safe. Prepare accordingly." He sent the message, knowing it would take 4 years to reach home. By then, the Pathfinder would either have found more answers or found the Krell. Either way, humanity's place in the universe had changed forever. 3 weeks after finding the probe, the Pathfinder drifted silently through an asteroid field. The crew had been on high alert, with minimal power usage to avoid detection. Their caution paid off when sensors detected a small ship moving through the same field. "It's definitely not human," said Jeff, watching the vessel's strange movements. "The design is unlike anything in our records." Eric studied the ship on the main screen. It was sleek and pale blue, with curved sections that seemed to flow together. "Should we hail them?" asked Lisa. "Not yet," Eric replied. "Let's observe a bit longer." But the decision was made for them when the alien ship suddenly changed course and approached. "They spotted us," said Darren, hand moving to his weapon. A message appeared on their communication screen, strange symbols that shifted and changed. Lisa worked quickly. "They're using a mathematical base similar to the probe. I think I can establish basic communication." After several tense minutes, a face appeared on the screen. It looked almost human, but with pale violet skin and large, slanted eyes. "I am Talon of the Valen," the alien said in halting English. "You are humans. From Earth." Ambassador Olivia Grant stepped forward. As the mission's diplomatic officer, she had prepared for this moment her entire career. "Yes, we are from Earth. I am Ambassador Olivia Grant of the United Earth Alliance. We come in peace." The alien's eyes widened. "Humans should not be here. This is forbidden space for your kind." The crew exchanged confused looks. "We were unaware of any restrictions," said Olivia carefully. "We are explorers." "The Galactic Council established quarantine around human space 50 Earth years ago," Talon explained. "For your protection. And ours." "Our protection from what?" asked Eric. "From the Krell. And to protect others from you." A silence fell over the bridge. "You know of the Krell?" Lisa asked. "All spacefaring races know of the Krell Empire. They have conquered 27 systems in the last century alone." "And why would others need protection from humans?" Olivia asked, trying to keep her voice neutral. Talon's expression changed to something like fear. "The Council observed your planet for decades. Your wars. Your rapid advancement. Most species take thousands of years to go from primitive flight to space travel. You did it in less than 1 century." Sam couldn't help but smile with pride. But Talon continued. "You are unpredictable, aggressive, adaptable in ways that frightened many council members. Some suggested removing the human threat entirely." Darren tensed, but Olivia gestured for calm. "Instead, they chose quarantine," Talon said. "The hope was that the Krell would overlook your small system at the edge of their expansion." "How close are the Krell to Earth?" Eric asked. "Too close. They have established bases in nearby systems. Their scouts have likely already observed your colonies on Mars and Europa." Kelly moved closer to the screen. "Can you tell us more about the Council, where we might find them?" Talon hesitated. "I should not be speaking with you at all. It is forbidden. Yet here we are," said Olivia gently. "Perhaps things have changed. Perhaps humans could be allies against the Krell." Talon seemed to consider this. "The nearest Council outpost is in the Rigel system. I will transmit coordinates, but I warn you, you will not be welcomed." After sending the data, Talon's expression became urgent. "I must leave now. If the Krell detect communication with humans, they will destroy my vessel." "Wait," called Eric. "What can you tell us about Krell weaknesses? How do we defend ourselves?" "They have no weakness humans can exploit," Talon said grimly. "They are ancient, powerful. They have consumed countless civilizations." The alien paused, then added, "But they have never encountered humans before. Perhaps that is significant." With that cryptic statement, the transmission ended, and the Valen ship quickly moved away. Eric turned to his crew. "Set course for the Rigel system. Maximum speed." "What about the warning?" asked Andrea. "The Council might not be friendly." "We don't have a choice," Eric replied. "Earth needs to know what we're facing. And if the Council won't help us, maybe they can at least tell us more about our enemy." As the Pathfinder prepared to jump to light speed, Olivia wondered why an advanced alien civilization would fear humans almost as much as they feared the Krell. Soon, they would find out. The Pathfinder arrived at the Rigel system after 3 weeks of travel. The Council outpost orbited the fourth planet, a massive space station that glowed with blue-green light. "They detected us," said Lisa. "We're receiving a transmission in multiple languages." A stern voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel, you have entered restricted space. Turn back immediately." Eric nodded to Olivia, who stepped forward. "This is Ambassador Olivia Grant of Earth. We seek a meeting with the Galactic Council regarding the Krell threat to our world." There was a long pause before the reply came. "Remain in position. Do not approach further." After an hour of waiting, they received docking instructions. Eric selected the small team: himself, Olivia, Kelly, and Kevin Wright, their computer specialist. "Remember," Eric told them, "we're here for information. Be respectful, but firm. Earth's survival might depend on what we learn today." They docked at the station and were met by tall, insect-like aliens with 4 arms and compound eyes. "I am Sith," said one of them. "Chief of Security. You will surrender all weapons." Darren had insisted they bring sidearms, but Eric handed his over without argument. The others followed his lead. Sith led them through curved hallways where aliens of various species stopped to stare at the humans. Some looked almost afraid. The council chamber was a large room with a circular table. 7 different aliens sat waiting, each more strange than the last. One was a floating cloud of gas contained in a transparent suit. Another resembled a large cat with 6 legs. An elderly alien with gray skin and deep-set eyes stood. "I am Zorak, Elder of the Council. Your presence here violates our quarantine of human space." Olivia stepped forward. "We discovered your quarantine only recently. We come seeking information about the Krell, who threaten our system." A ripple of communication passed through the council members. "How did you learn of the Krell?" asked a being made of what looked like living crystal. "We found a damaged probe," said Eric, "and then met a Valan ship that confirmed the threat." "The Valan spoke to you." Zorak seemed shocked. "This is most irregular." "Irregular or not," Olivia said firmly, "Earth faces a threat we know little about. We need information to defend our people." The cat-like alien hissed, "Give them nothing. Humans are dangerous. Their history is filled with war and destruction." "We have evolved beyond our violent past," Olivia argued. "Have you?" asked Zorak. "Your kind went from primitive aircraft to nuclear weapons in less than 50 years. From basic rockets to colonies on 2 worlds in just over a century. No other species has advanced so rapidly." Kevin spoke up for the first time. "Is that why you fear us?" "Because we learn quickly." "We fear what you might become," said Zorak. "Your adaptability is concerning." "Yet the Krell are a greater threat," Eric pointed out. "They've conquered dozens of systems. They're heading toward Earth now." Kelly displayed images from the probe they had found. This warning was left by someone trying to help others. The council members conferred in hushed tones. Finally, Zorak nodded. "We will share basic information about the Krell, their technology, their tactics, but we will not provide weapons or direct assistance." While Zorak and the others shared what they knew, Kevin moved to a console behind them. He plugged in a small device, appearing to take notes while actually copying files from the council's database. They learned that the Krell were methodical conquerors who had existed for thousands of years. They did not negotiate. They did not show mercy. They harvested resources and enslaved populations, using advanced technology that allowed them to control gravity and manipulate energy fields. "You should leave now," Zorak said when they finished. "Return to your world. Prepare as best you can." "That's it?" asked Eric. "You'll just let the Krell destroy another civilization?" "We regret this," said Zorak, "but the Council must protect many worlds, not just one." As they walked back to their ship, Olivia whispered, "Did you get what we needed?" Kevin patted his pocket. Everything they had on Krell ships, weapons, and tactics, plus some interesting notes about why they fear humans so much. Eric nodded. Then let's get home. Earth needs to prepare for war. As the Pathfinder departed, the Council watched anxiously. We may have made a terrible mistake, said Zorak. Either the Krell will destroy the humans, or the humans will prove even more dangerous than we feared, finished the crystal being. The Pathfinder's return journey to Earth took 4 months. When they arrived, the solar system was already preparing for war. The message Captain Russell had sent ahead had reached Earth, and humanity was not taking the threat lightly. Admiral Nancy Moore met the crew at the orbital station above Earth. She was a tall woman with gray hair and eyes that had seen many battles. Your warning saved us precious time, she told Eric as they walked through the station. Show me everything you found. In the command center, Kevin displayed the data stolen from the Council. Engineers, scientists, and military leaders crowded around, studying the Krell technology. Their ships use a form of gravity manipulation we don't fully understand, Kevin explained. But their weapons are energy-based and might have weaknesses we can exploit. Alan Phillips, Earth's top weapons designer, pointed to the schematics. If we modify our fusion cannons to match these frequencies, we might penetrate their shields. How long? Asked Admiral Moore. 3 months for the prototypes, 6 for full production, Alan replied. You have 2 months, said the Admiral. Our deep space sensors have detected objects moving toward our system. We think they're Krell scout ships. The room fell silent. 2 months isn't enough time to evacuate the colonies, said Olivia. We're not evacuating, Admiral Moore said firmly. We're fortifying. Underground bunkers on Mars and Europa are already being expanded. Earth's orbital defenses are being upgraded. The Council said the Krell don't negotiate, Eric warned. We'll try anyway, said the Admiral. I don't send people to die without exhausting all options first. For the next 2 months, the solar system became a hive of activity. Ships moved between planets, carrying supplies and weapons. The first new defensive shields were installed on key stations and ships. Alan worked day and night, refining the designs based on the Council data. These shields should withstand their standard weapons, he explained during a briefing. But we need more testing. Testing time ran out when 5 Krell ships entered the system. Admiral Moore dispatched the diplomatic vessel Freedom with a message of peace. The entire command center watched as the small ship approached the lead Krell vessel. They're broadcasting the message on all frequencies, reported the communications officer. The Freedom waited for a response, maintaining position. The Krell ship fired a single beam of green energy. The Freedom disappeared in a flash of light. No debris, no distress call, just gone. Admiral Moore's face hardened. So that's how it's going to be. She turned to her officers. Implement War Plan Alpha. All civilians to shelters. All military personnel to battle stations. The Krell advanced slowly toward Mars, where humanity's largest off-Earth colony existed. They're following standard conquest protocol, according to the Council data, said Kevin. They'll target our colonies first, then move to Earth. Good, said Admiral Moore. That gives us time to test our defenses. On Mars, Commander Diane Foster prepared her troops. The colony had been transformed into a fortress, with the new shield generators buried deep underground. Remember your training, she told her soldiers. We only need to hold them off long enough to see if the shields work. The first Krell attack came at dawn, Mars time. 3 massive ships positioned themselves above the main colony dome and fired. The shield flared to life, a shimmering blue barrier that caught the energy beams and dispersed them. The shields are holding, shouted one of the technicians. Alan's voice came through on the communication system. Don't celebrate yet. They'll adjust their weapons. Watch for changes in the energy signature. Sure enough, the Krell ships changed formation and fired again, this time with red beams. The shields flickered but held. A cheer went up in the command center on Earth. Admiral Moore allowed herself a small smile. Send the data to all colonies and ships, she ordered, and prepare our countermeasures. The Krell just learned that humanity won't be an easy conquest. She looked at the tactical display showing the Krell ships. And now we teach them why the Council was so afraid of us. The Krell attack on Mars continued for 3 days. Their ships fired different weapons, trying to break through the shields. Each time, Alan and his team adjusted the defenses. They're following a pattern, Commander Foster noticed on the 3rd day. They test a weapon, retreat, then come back with something new. It's like they're reading from a manual, said Eric, who had joined the Mars Defense Force. Kevin studied the data. According to the Council files, most species surrender after the first attack. The Krell don't usually need to change tactics. Then let's surprise them even more, said Commander Foster with a smile. She ordered her ships to hide behind Mars' smaller moon, Deimos. When the Krell returned for their next attack, Foster's squadron launched a surprise assault from behind. The human ships fired their modified weapons directly at the spots where Kevin had identified possible weaknesses in Krell shields. 2 of the 5 Krell ships took heavy damage. The others turned to defend, clearly surprised by the attack. Keep firing, ordered Foster. Don't give them time to regroup. One of the damaged Krell ships began to drift, its engines dead. The other Krell vessels formed a protective circle around it and retreated from Mars orbit. For the first time in known history, the Krell had been forced to retreat from a battle. The celebration on Mars was brief. They knew the Krell would return with more ships, but they had won valuable time, and more importantly, a damaged Krell vessel. We need to board that ship before they can recover it, Eric told Admiral Moore over the communication line. Agreed, she replied. Take a small team. Get whatever intelligence you can, but your priority is capturing a Krell if possible. We need to understand what we're fighting. Eric selected a team of 6, including Kevin for his technical knowledge and Paul Martinez, a xenobiologist who had joined them from Earth. They approached the drifting Krell ship in a small, stealthy craft. The vessel was massive up close, at least 4 times larger than the biggest human ship. There's an opening in the hull from our weapons fire, Kevin pointed out. We can enter there. The team put on their spacesuits and crossed to the Krell ship. Inside, the gravity was stronger than Earth's, making movement difficult. The air was breathable, but had a strange metallic smell. Stay together, Eric warned, as they moved through dark corridors lit by flashing red lights. They found the bridge empty. The controls were designed for hands larger than human ones, with strange symbols covering the panels. I can access their computer system, said Kevin, connecting his tablet to what looked like an information terminal. I'll download everything I can. Movement detected, their security officer whispered, pointing down a side corridor. Eric and 2 others followed the signal to what appeared to be a medical bay. There, they found a Krell. The alien was tall, nearly 8 feet, with gray-green skin and 4 arms. It was injured, blue fluid leaking from a wound in its side. It looked at the humans with 3 large eyes and made a clicking sound. It's trying to reach something, said one of the security officers, pointing to a device on a nearby table. Eric grabbed the device first. A weapon. Paul examined it carefully. I don't think so. The design suggests it's for communication. The Krell made more clicking sounds, then spoke in a rough approximation of human language. You will die. Not today, said Eric. You're coming with us. They sedated the Krell and carefully moved it to their ship. As they departed, Kevin finished downloading the Krell data. We need to hurry, he said. I found their transmission logs. They've called for reinforcements. A much larger fleet is coming. Back on Mars, Paul began studying the captive Krell while Kevin analyzed the downloaded information. After several hours, Paul rushed into the command center, eyes wide with excitement. I found something, he said. Something the Council data didn't mention. The Krell have a significant biological weakness. Admiral Moore leaned forward. What kind of weakness? Their cellular structure breaks down when exposed to a specific frequency of ultraviolet radiation. It's harmless to humans, but fatal to them. For the first time since the invasion began, Admiral Moore allowed herself a genuine smile. Then we have our weapon. Now we need a delivery system. 2 weeks after capturing the Krell, Earth forces were ready to launch their counteroffensive. Paul had developed a biological agent that produced the specific ultraviolet frequency harmful to Krell biology. It works like a virus, Paul explained to Admiral Moore and the military leadership. But it's completely harmless to humans and other Earth life forms. Once released in a Krell ship, it will spread through their air systems. How quickly does it work? Asked Admiral Moore. The effects begin within minutes. Complete incapacitation within an hour. Alan had designed special delivery devices, small drones that could attach to Krell ships, cut through the hull, and release the agent inside. We've tested them on the captured ship, Alan said. They work perfectly. Admiral Moore studied the tactical display. The Krell reinforcements had arrived. 20 large warships now orbited just beyond Mars. They're preparing for a full-scale assault, she said. We need to strike first. Captain Russell, now commanding the newly outfitted battle cruiser Defiant, would lead the attack. The plan is simple but risky, Eric told his crew. We approach under the cover of our improved shields. The drones will attach to as many Krell ships as possible before they realize what's happening. What if they figure it out too quickly? Asked Lisa, who had joined his crew as communications officer. Then we fight the old-fashioned way, Eric replied. But we need to infect their command ship at all costs. According to our prisoner, the Krell follow orders from the top down. If we take out their leadership, the others will be disorganized. The human fleet, 12 ships in total, moved into position. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they had surprise on their side. Launch the drones, Eric ordered as they came within range. Hundreds of small drones shot toward the Krell fleet. At first, the Krell ignored them, focusing their weapons on the human ships. The shields held, just barely. Drones attaching now, reported Kevin from his station. 30% success rate, 40%. The Krell began to notice the drones and tried to destroy them. But many had already attached to their hulls. 60% attached. Command ship targeted. The Krell fleet suddenly surged forward, realizing too late what was happening. Their massive weapons fired at the human ships, breaking through some shields. The Phoenix is hit, called out Lisa. They've lost power. Move to protect them, ordered Eric. All ships concentrate fire on any Krell vessel without an attached drone. The battle was chaotic. 2 human ships were destroyed, but the drones had attached to 15 Krell vessels, including the command ship. Drones are releasing the agent, Kevin confirmed. Now we wait. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The Krell continued their attack, pressing their advantage of numbers. Then, one by one, their attacks became erratic. The energy beams fired in wrong directions. Some ships began to drift. It's working. Eric couldn't hide the excitement in his voice. The Krell are losing control of their ships. Within 30 minutes, most of the Krell fleet was effectively neutralized. Their weapons fell silent, and their coordinated attack pattern collapsed. Admiral Moore's voice came through the communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Moore. Target any remaining active Krell vessels. Show no mercy. They gave us none. The human fleet moved in, finishing off the few Krell ships still fighting. When it was over, the Krell command ship drifted powerless, surrounded by human vessels. We're receiving a transmission from the command ship, said Lisa in surprise. It's in our language. A harsh voice filled the bridge. Humans, you use dishonorable tactics. This is not proper warfare. Eric laughed without humor. Proper warfare. You destroyed our diplomatic vessel without warning. You've conquered dozens of civilizations. You don't get to lecture us on honor. The Krell Empire will send more ships. You cannot win. Then we'll be ready for them too, Eric replied. And now we know how to hurt you. He cut the transmission and contacted Admiral Moore. The Krell commander is still alive. Orders. Capture if possible, she replied. But more importantly, I want their navigation data. We need to know where their homeworld is. Eric nodded grimly. You're thinking what I'm thinking. Yes, said the Admiral. It's time to take the fight to them. 3 months after defeating the Krell fleet, Earth had transformed its defensive force into an attack fleet. 20 new warships had been built using technology reverse-engineered from captured Krell vessels. Each carried enough of the biological agent to neutralize an entire Krell world. Admiral Moore stood on the bridge of the flagship Justice, addressing the fleet captains via holographic display. The Krell homeworld is located in the Arcturus system, 30 light-years from Earth, she said, pointing to the star map. Our new engines, based on Krell technology, will get us there in 2 weeks. What about their home defenses? Asked Captain Russell. According to the data we captured, they keep minimal defenses at home. They never expected anyone to attack them there. Kevin, now Chief of Intelligence, added, the Krell have conquered so many worlds that they've grown overconfident. Their empire spans over 100 star systems, but they've never faced a counter-invasion. Which is exactly why this will work, said Admiral Moore. They won't expect us to be so aggressive. As the fleet prepared to depart, a message arrived from the Galactic Council. Admiral Moore played it for her senior staff. The hologram of Zorak appeared, looking anxious. Humans of Earth, we have learned of your victory against the Krell fleet. This is unprecedented. We ask that you cease hostilities immediately. The Council will negotiate a peace treaty with the Krell on your behalf. Ambassador Grant, who had been appointed Earth's official representative to alien species, laughed bitterly. Now they want to help, after they left us to die. What should we tell them? Asked Admiral Moore. The truth, Olivia replied. The Krell don't negotiate. They only understand force, and we're taking the fight to them. Olivia recorded a response, explaining humanity's decision to attack the Krell homeworld. She ended with a simple message. You feared what humanity might become. Now the Krell will learn what happens when you threaten our existence. The Earth fleet departed 2 days later. The journey through space was tense but uneventful. Kevin spent the time developing a new quantum communication system that allowed instant coordination between ships, regardless of distance. The Krell use light-speed communications, he explained. This gives us a major advantage. We can coordinate our attack in real time while they'll have communication delays. When they reached the edge of the Arcturus system, scout ships confirmed what the intelligence had suggested. The Krell homeworld was defended by only a small fleet. They've sent most of their ships to conquer other worlds, said Eric, including the fleet we destroyed. Any sign they know we're coming? Asked Admiral Moore. None, replied the sensor officer. Their communication channels show normal activity. Admiral Moore nodded. Then we proceed with the plan. All ships jump to position and surround the planet. Captain Russell, your team will lead the ground assault if needed. The Earth fleet appeared around the Krell homeworld in perfect formation, catching the defenders completely by surprise. The few Krell ships scrambled to respond, but were quickly neutralized by the biological agent. From the planet's surface, a transmission came through. The Krell Supreme Commander appeared on screen, its 3 eyes wide with what humans now recognized as fear. How did you reach our world? This is impossible. Admiral Moore stood tall. Nothing is impossible for humans when our survival is threatened. You attacked our system without provocation. You destroy our diplomatic vessel when we try to communicate. Now you face the consequences. What do you want? The Krell commander asked. Unconditional surrender. Control of all your fleet commands, a complete withdrawal from all conquered worlds. The Krell commander clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. This has never happened before. The Krell Empire does not surrender. Then today will be historic. replied Admiral Moore. You have 1 hour to decide. Surrender, or we release our biological agent across your entire world. She ended the transmission and turned to her officers. Prepare for either outcome. If they surrender, we'll need occupation forces. If they refuse, she didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone knew what would happen if the Krell chose to fight. Eric looked out at the Krell homeworld. After thousands of years of conquest, they never expected to face extinction themselves. They should have heeded the warnings about humanity, said Olivia quietly. The hour passed slowly as the Earth fleet maintained position around the Krell homeworld. With 5 minutes remaining, the transmission light blinked on Admiral Moore's command console. They're responding, said Lisa, now communications chief for the Justice. The Krell Supreme Commander appeared on screen again. Its color had paled, and its movements were slow and deliberate. The Krell Empire has existed for 10,000 years, it said. We have never known defeat. Admiral Moore remained silent, waiting. But we recognize the effectiveness of your tactics, the commander continued. We surrender our forces to humanity. A cheer erupted across the bridge, quickly silenced by Admiral Moore's raised hand. Transmit the surrender protocols, she ordered. I want control codes for every Krell ship in the galaxy. All conquered worlds must be freed immediately. The surrender was processed quickly. The Krell, despite their long history of conquest, had no experience with being conquered themselves. They complied with all demands without resistance. Within days, news of the Krell surrender spread across the galaxy. Species that had lived under Krell dominion for generations suddenly found themselves free. Many didn't know how to govern themselves after so long as slaves. 6 months later, a new Galactic Council convened. Ambassador Grant stood before representatives from over 50 species, including many formerly conquered by the Krell. Humanity proposes a new structure, she said, one based on mutual protection and respect. No species should face threats alone, as Earth did. Zorak, still representing his people, spoke hesitantly. The old council feared human aggression. Now we see it was justified fear. You defeated in months what others couldn't in millennia. We fought because we had to, replied Olivia. Now we choose to help rebuild. The Krell left a power vacuum that could lead to chaos or new tyranny. We offer an alternative. The new council structure was approved with Earth playing a central role. Captain Russell, promoted to Fleet Admiral, would command the new Galactic Defense Force. Ships from many worlds would train together, sharing strengths and technologies. On the former Krell homeworld, now under a joint administration, Paul Martinez worked with scientists from various species to study the remnants of Krell technology. They advanced through conquest, he explained to visitors, taking technologies from others rather than developing their own. That was their true weakness. They stopped innovating. Kevin's quantum communication system was shared with all council worlds, creating an unprecedented network of information exchange. Ideas and cultures that had been isolated for centuries under Krell rule now flowed freely between stars. Admiral Moore, now head of Earth's diplomatic corps, met with Zorak privately after the new council's first session. You were wrong about humans, she said simply. Were we? Asked Zorak. You proved remarkably efficient at warfare. We're equally efficient at peace when given the chance, she replied. The difference is choice. Humans always choose our path, even when it seems impossible. 1 year after the Krell surrender, a memorial was unveiled in orbit above Earth. It listed the names of every human lost in the conflict, alongside representatives of all species who had suffered under Krell rule. Captain Eric Russell stood with his original crew from the Pathfinder, looking at the memorial's inscription. They ignored the warning about humanity. Now they no longer exist. But from destruction, we built peace. Lisa read the words aloud, then turned to Eric. Do you think the council still fears us? Probably, he said with a small smile. But now they respect us too. That's a start. As the ceremony ended, ships from dozens of worlds performed a synchronized flight pattern around the memorial. Among them was a small Valen vessel. Talon, who had first warned the Pathfinder about the Krell, piloted it himself. Later, at the reception, Talon approached Eric. "When we met, I told you the Krell had never encountered humans before. I believed that might be significant." "And was it?" asked Eric. Talon's expression showed what humans now recognized as a smile. "More than any of us could have imagined. You did not just defeat the Krell. You changed the galaxy." Eric looked around at the diverse gathering of species, all communicating, sharing, and planning a future together. "That's what humans do," he said simply. "We change things."